Hi, I'm Jesus.
I'm Lala.
And I'm Catherine. And the topic our group chose was on living fossils. So to start off, let's define what a living fossil is.
A living fossil is an organism that has retained the same form over millions of years, has few or no living relatives, and represent a sole surviving lineage from an ancient time. Many living fossils alive today have strange and extraordinary traits that make them seem more like aliens than anything from this world. Living fossils have often survived several mass extinctions, and many scientists consider them to be a unique glimpse as to how life on Earth was long ago.
Charles Darwin first introduced the term about 150 years ago in his book On the Origin of Species, when discussing the platypus and lungfish. Both species have had little or no diversification over millions of years. Darwin saw living fossils as remainders of ancient species. This term has since been used to describe certain types of organisms such as horseshoe crabs, coelacanths, and even plants and trees like Dawn redwood trees. We will further discuss these examples in just a few moments.
However, living fossils has had a debatable history. For years, some scientists have argued how pointless the term is, because it appears to suggest that evolution has stopped entirely for these living creatures. Creationists today believe this is to be the proof against evolution. Yet Darwin also provided his explanation for why living fossils actually do not contradict the belief and principles of evolution. Darwin noted, living fossils have endured to the present day, from having inhabited a confined area and from having thus been exposed to the less severe competition. This means that although evolution is the forecast of species that can change, it does not, however, entail that species and organisms or plants must change.
Living fossils itself raises questions and interest, especially for biologists. It can cause us to ask, what do living fossils tell us about groups of species that have not survived and the groups that seem to continue to thrive? Primary example of a living fossil is the horseshoe crab. The best known species is the Limonus polyphemus, or common horseshoe crab of the East Coast. These are the only representatives for a large class of fossil invertebrates called the Xiphosaurida. The first members of this group appeared about 425 million years ago in the Silurian period and look similar to their modern forms today. The last fossil that was recorded extinct was 50 million years ago, and interestingly enough, these species are found by the western North Atlantic and are famous for their massive spawning near the beaches of Cape May and Chesapeake Bay.
The prehistoric-looking coelacanth is an iconic living fossil that was thought to have gone extinct 65 million years ago with the dinosaurs, but it was discovered in 1938 by a South African fisherman. There are only two known species of coelacanths, one near the Comoros Islands off the east coast of Africa, and the other in Sulawesi, Indonesia. Many scientists believe that the unique characteristics of the coelacanth can represent an early step in the evolution of fish to terrestrial four-legged animals, like amphibians. One of the most striking features of this living fossil is its paired lobe fins that extend away from its body, like legs, and move in an alternating pattern. Another unique characteristic is the hinged joint in the skull, which allows the fish to widen its mouth for large feeding. They also live in depths up to 2,300 feet. The population numbers are not well known, but some studies in the Comoros Islands suggest only about 1,000 remain there. They are on the endangered species list.
Plants can also be living fossils. The Dawn redwood tree is a classic example of a living fossil. It is a conifer related to the Pacific coast redwoods of North America. These species were widespread and common in the Pliocene. Pollen spores of these trees have turned up in fossil samples and were thought to have gone extinct worldwide. Yet living specimens of this tree were discovered in China in 1945. Curiously enough, when the Dawn redwood tree was introduced in North America, it adapted extremely well.
In conclusion, living fossils represent an ancient group that might not always be extinct.
Darwin's coined term stirred up a lot of controversy among scientists today.
Some examples of living fossils today are the horseshoe crab, coelacanths, and the Dawn redwood tree.
and who knows what other species we may find.